Well, looking back on the quirky sayings, and I mean, I get a kick out of the sayings that you come off with all the time. But can you think of any of the sayings or beliefs about weather or good luck or bad luck, or just some of your favorite sayings you've heard throughout the years?
I don't know. They come and they're just uh, they just come off the top of your head, and you don't know them until you say them.
But you've got a lexicon of them. You've got hundreds of them.
I've got a I got a vault somewhere back there, but the vault door's closed most of the time. It's getting close
But
more.
they do. They come.
Yeah,
they come when they.
They come when you need them, and I talk a lot in similes, and this is similar to that, and this is similar to that, and I use them expressions, and but I don't know of anything in particular that.
Well, I like it beats a kick in the head. That's one of my favorites.
Well, I have certain things that certain answers to that. I heard one man, he just talked about he had a worst conversation you ever heard. It's filthy, and it was ornery and dirty, and I told him, I said, I wouldn't have in my mouth, I wouldn't have in my hands what you just had in your mouth. And so he didn't like that too well. So I put him down, and without saying about putting him down. But I think he got the message, But a lot of times you run into, I was working down in Barberville here lately. Well, last 10, 15 years.
I went to that. We were at that job with you.
Oh, yeah, you know it. Well, I was down there, and we had this guy from over around McKee. It wasn't McKee, but it's right close to there. And he was our drywaller. And we leaned back, and after we had our lunch, and all you do if you've been around construction, and they'll lean back, and after they eat, why, somebody got a long-winded tale to tell. And so this preacher ahead from over there, he leaned back, and he says, it's been 30 years since I sinned. And I sat there and I thought, well, I might let that pass. No, I can't. I just can't let them get away with that. So I said, you don't count lying as sinning, do you? And he jumped up, and he's a big rascal, and he says, what do you mean? You think calling me a lying? And I said, well, you just said you never sinned. You hadn't sinned in 30 years. And I said, the way I read the Bible, it says, all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. I said, now, are you part of that all? And he said, no, but I'm under grace. And of course, some people, they got different beliefs back in the hills. And I said, it doesn't make any difference.
And he was a preacher?
He's a preacher. And what embarrassed me, though, actually, is one situation that I didn't get the best of. Mostly I get the best of them. But I told him, I said, now you go back and read it. He said, I can't read. Well, he killed me right there. He flat shot me out of the saddle. What else are you going to say then?
Yeah.
He couldn't read, so I can't say nothing. So I said, well, get somebody to read it to you. And then I got out of the conversation because they was talking anyway.
That's funny. Well, I think we're about out of tape, but do you remember what the first car was that you owned? Your first vehicle?
First vehicle. I want to think it was a blue Chrysler. That Jim Rupert bought it and wrecked it. And then when they fixed it up, now Jim Rupert, you'd have to know him to. When they fixed it up, they left something he didn't want, and he says, I don't want that car. So he wouldn't take it, so we bought it. And it was a big thing. That's one we drove to the West Coast and back. We drove all the way to California and up through, went through Grand Canyon and up on through the Dalles. That's another place up there, and then wound up in Washington, and then drove all the way back to Kentucky. And so it was a pretty good car. Well, it's a good car. Actually, I used it as a work car after we bought our other good car that we was going to drive. But I think that was I might have been maybe the best car that I owned. I owned some pretty good ones. I've owned some Continentals. I had a Continental.
But you and Granny took that car all the way to the West Coast and back?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Well, it was a lot of people. There was Mr. and Miss Clifton, and Rudy and I, and Kay, and Brother John. See, they were single. And they never recognized that fact till we got all the way back to Laredo, Texas. And then they said, hey, we're single. And so